This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
As always, welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me, Robert Alexander. Hoppy, how's it going, guys?
What's up? What's going on, guys?
Not much. Let's jump into Fury-Usyk. That rematch is starting to really heat up. Fury has been really aimed and is vowing to be a lot more focused in the rematch that's set now for December 1st in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
December 21st.
What'd I say?
First.
Damn, I can't talk. That's my son's birthday. I got those two confused.
It's a Christmas present. It's a Christmas present.
It really is. One of the better fights of this past year that was just that original fight. So the rematch is guaranteed to bring fireworks as well. Guys, it seems lately Fury's been doing a lot of admitting. He admits that, he wasn't as focused, that he was very showboaty. And this quote said, "I did a lot of showboating, a lot of messing around, more than I've ever done before, actually, against supposedly my toughest opponent. I did a lot of expletive deleted around, and it ended up costing me." Guys, I think we can all agree with that quote. Very true, right? I mean, If Fury was focused, if he didn't do a lot of that stuff, if he was landing punches instead of doing that shit, that could have actually went to his favor. And it was a very close fight anyway. It could have swayed his way.
For sure, definitely. I think that showboating cost him just because, first of all, it wasn't smooth. When it's smooth and it's going your favor, that showboating kind of like it just enhances your performance. But when you're showboating and you're still getting caught, it just makes things even more like, oh shit! Now people start seeing, oh, this guy's fucking up. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I see the fact. I felt like there was times when he had the momentum, and then he stopped himself to do the showboating shit, to mess around, and then it's like, it takes some fighters to get into the rhythm, especially when you're getting your momentum, and to like make that mistake. I don't know if he wanted to kind of like make it seem like it was easy, that he wasn't worried about him, but Usyk proved to be a solid opponent, and you can't be really clowning around somebody that's a day willing to work. You know what I'm saying? And part of that, props also to Usyk, because he took advantage of those little clown around parts, and he took advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? So he noticed that Fury was off his game, and he applied the pressure right there and then.
Definitely. Rob, what do you think?
Well, I think Javi hit on something very well there, is that Usyk is a very, very serious man. You have to take him serious at all times in the ring. And Fury can do some of the antics. He can go out there and F around, as he tried to say, given the opponent. And Usyk is proven time and time again, he's not the one. He is not the one to play around with. So, yeah, he did try to play with him a little bit, but Usyk is not the one to mess around with. He's very serious, very dangerous at any given time in that fight.
Go ahead.
That being said, though, Fury, to me, is the king of adjustments. He will adjust in the second fight, just as he did in every fight against Deontay Wilder. This really is Fury's first true loss. He hasn't lost before. The other thing that he had was a draw with Deontay, and he came off of that and performed better. So I totally expect him to come out of this and perform at his ultimate best.
Right. I mean, he didn't lose against Deontay, but a lot of people thought, that could have been a loss. Either way. But regardless, that first fight was a draw, very close fight. He was able to, peel himself off the canvas and win that one. But this fight and the way he didn't take it seriously was very confusing for me. I mean, he didn't really taunt Wilder, not at least not as badly as he did Usyk, right? There wasn't a lot of that.
In the second fight, he really did, licking the blood off of him, shit like that.
The second
Yeah,
fight,
he
but
did.
not that first one. The first one, it seemed, was a little bit more serious, but I mean, we already knew that Usyk was going to be his hardest test to date, and yet he had him in his hand multiple times, and wasn't able to finish the job. He kind of, got very easily sidetracked. I didn't understand why he would take it that lightly and start doing the showboating so early on. Hopefully, this one's more serious, but you can't have Fury without a little bit of grab ass, a little bit of horseplay, So, how serious really do we want Tyson Fury? I don't think we've ever seen him laser focused ever.
I want to see him loose. I like that Tyson Fury when he's loose, but you have to take Usyk serious. And he's coming off of a loss, the first of his career. So on this one, I wouldn't want to see him play around at all. I need to see him take this serious. I need to see him be on his job on December 21st. He's got to be on his job, and he's got to be at the ready at all times.
Definitely agree with you there. So, cool. We're talking about the rematch between Fury and Usyk.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for being there, supporting me through, the past couple of weeks with these different hurricanes, and I just appreciate all the encouragement you guys have given me, and the updates during the storm helped too. So I just wanted to send my kisses and loves and hugs out to you guys. You're always the best. Now, finally, I can get back to boxing. And I can just say, I am very excited about this heavyweight bout. And one reason why is just because it is a rematch and each guy does know each other more than what they did in the beginning of the first fights. So I think both of them can pretty much learn from the footage as well as from the actual experience of being in the ring with each other. Fury can now know and expect that Usyk is a lot faster than he assumed during that fight. And um, Usyk, on the other hand, he has to know in his mind that, this is going to be a different Fury than what he saw in the first fight, probably. At least mentally, he will be, Fury is going to be a lot more into and able to adjust to certain things that Usyk might try to change up during the fight that he wasn't able to concentrate on and do during the last bout. So it's a lot of things that both of them can learn, but those are two main ingredients that I think both can benefit from knowing when they go into this second fight.
For
Now,
sure.
definitely, Usyk should be should be also ready for to make sure that he puts Fury out the pasture. It's not just Fury that's going to be in more shape. It's going to be a focused Usyk as well because he knows in his mind that he can now beat a Fury. But what he is probably thinking about is the fact, like, okay, that was the worst of Fury. I'm about to face the best of Fury, possibly. So it's a different mindset. So he's going to be extra prepared too, I believe.
I believe so too. Usyk's the more cerebral of the two, but I would like to see how the fight is going to be different from the first. Guys, do you see any? You mentioned some changes, but how do you think it will change? Is there something that sticks out stylistically, or something that you believe is going to change in this fight that is going to change it drastically in one way or another?
Yes, I do believe that because Fury will be in better physical shape, he will be able to move around the ring more and use his jab a lot more effectively rather than being tired and lingering on the ropes too long. I think that he will be able to move around and be a little bit more effective with his actual boxing skills and really utilize that height and that reach advantage that he has. In the first fight, it kind of seemed like he forgot, like, hey, I'm the effing, heavyweight of this time period. I'm the big dude, and I'm supposed to be roughing you up. I think he really forgot that, Usyk is the smaller guy in there, and he didn't use that to his benefit necessarily, because of the fatigue he was seeing early. So I think that is going to be a very different, and more strategic strategy that Fury is going to use. And for Usyk, I just think for him, he's just going to be more tentative. I think that it's going to make him think about what punches he want to throw and how to get inside a little bit differently this time, because he has to assume that Fury is going to be in better shape than he was in the first fight, and that he's going to be more on his game, being that he doesn't have any, like family situations and things taken away from his actual mental prowess. So I think that those are like the main two ingredients of that fight.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think he's going to use his size a lot more. I think Fury's going to be looking more for a knockout, less to box, more trying to bully him around the ring, which is what he really should have been doing the first match. And I think looking back at it, it's 2020's hindsight. Obviously, when you rewatch that fight, you can say, "Man, I could have had Usyk there and there and there, and I let him get off the hook." And 9 out of 10 times, it was either you were getting countered or you just were running out of steam and you weren't able to do what you were trying to do to finish him off. Rob, how do you see that fight going differently? Is there something that sticks out in your mind?
Well, you got to break that pressure. You got to break that pressure, whether it's the jab, the movement for Fury, and I think he knows that. He's got to break the pressure off of Usyk and stop the momentum of him keep wanting to go move forward. Also agree, he's got to use his size in there as well, to stop Usyk and kind of wear him down, because Usyk was just ticking time bomb in there, going forward and moving him backwards through that whole entire fight, applying the pressure, getting to him, making him feel that pressure until he busts. Just like a pipe with that water pressure, man. That water pressure main broke from him.
Don't talk about that. That happened to Lucas like a what during the winter one year.
Yeah, it sucked.
You gotta stop that from happening, man. You gotta stop that pressure. So use the jab, use the size more, use the movement, keep him off of you, back him up occasionally every now and then.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, we're gonna talk. We got a lot of time still before that fight, so we're gonna definitely be talking that in the weeks to come. Let's switch gears here. Talk women's boxing. Rob, I know you got a special thing to say probably about this. The undefeated Seniesa Estrada retires at only the age of 32. Sends kind of some people into a spiral. Like, I understand where she's coming from. This is a, hard knocks business. You're getting beat up, and if the money ain't right, why keep doing it? But I'm gonna hand it over to Rob because I already know he's got something to say.
Well, I mean, I want more context.
You want more context?
I need more context in that. She didn't put out a statement really saying why. And what I hate or can't stand in a fighter is to come out here. Yeah, she thanked the sport, reluctantly thanked the sport for what it did to her, but it was more like thank you, no thank, thanks for nothing type of statement. Like, you gave me more problems than you gave me more strife, more grief, more issues than giving me joy. And this is a sport that puts you on the map. Hell, a lot of people still don't even know who the Seniesa Estrada is yet. They still don't know who she is yet because you got free fights under your belt, under Top Rank on ESPN. Your last fight was your best, biggest moment, your best fight. You should have ran that one back, but you didn't. Scared or whatever reason, obviously scared because you retired. And then you want to sit here and you want to badmouth the sport as if it's the sport's fault. No, it isn't, Sanisa. It's not. It's not the
I mean,
sport's
he
fault.
really read a lot into that, thank you, our retirement, that retiring statement. I mean, because I didn't get all that context that you're saying, Rob. I mean, where did you get all this context from?
Not to mention we've talked about how bad the sport has gotten, right? From when we started heavy bag boxing to what it is now, we have seen the sport get worse and worse. It has plummeted. We went from Friday night fights to having no weekly set agenda type thing. We've went from HBO boxing to that shit don't exist. We went from Showtime boxing to that shit don't exist. Boxing is in a downward free fall, guys. So I can't really completely blame her. And yeah, the sport, this is not baseball. This is not Sammy Sosa. Baseball has been very, very good to him. This is not the same. Boxing is good to no one. Boxing will beat the shit out of you and leave you in the ditch if you allow it to. So I partly agree with Estrada, but go ahead.
No.
Yeah, I understand that it's very difficult in boxing. I mean, we all are trying to break through on our own different ways in boxing, and we've dealt with that underbelly, negative type vibe that you can get from it. But there's so many joys too.
That's
The
true.
thing that really bothers me about this situation is it's her life, it's her boxing career. She can do what the hell she wants to do with it. That's a part of being, a new age woman. We can make our own decisions about ourselves. No problem with that whatsoever. But when it comes to bashing the sport, when even though you say it gave you grief, you got way more opportunities than a lot of women have gotten in their careers, and some of which I believe some of them were better boxers than her. She's an amazing boxer, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is there a lot more talent out there that we don't get to see that didn't even get the opportunity she had. She was signed to Golden Boy first, and then she got signed to Top Rank earlier. Yeah. And this is still early in her career to me. So it's like those are opportunities that are far and in between for women in boxing. And I just really I hated to see it thrown away in that way. Um, and the appreciation for at least knowing that she was trying
No, we losing her.
So the main thing takeaway too is that this is a woman that was on the verge, or if not on people's top pound for pound list in the female boxers, right? So if you're held to that high regard, that high standard, so early on in your career right now, at least try and live up to it first. At least try to live up to that. Don't kick the bucket, so to speak, just when things go wrong, or things go awry, or things go bad. And we see this stuff all the time with fighters where they're contemplating not suicide. No, not that. Where they're contemplating retirement and then they come back and fight again. So to me, it's a crybaby mentality out there now. When things go bad or not the way that I want it, oh, I'm just gonna retire from the sport. Knock it off.
I don't know. I can see both sides, and I think both can be simultaneously true. I think boxing can be, bad
Well, then look,
for
just put
her,
some
and at the same
context
time,
on it. Then at
I
least put
agree. But
context on it. Don't blame the sport as a whole. It's probably not putting context in it because you probably made some bad decisions as well.
I mean, I'm sure she has. I'm sure she has. She might even confess to that. I'm not sure, but at this point, it's hard to say. Like you said, there's not enough context there to really read what it's been. She said we did everything we imagined I would do and more as a woman in a male-dominated sport. It's been one wild ride. I hope that my style of fighting is one that people remember forever. Um, I mean, you don't at least want to try to like maybe retire. Maybe this is to draw somebody out too. You never know. Oh, like don't retire yet. Let's me and you have one good match. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other things because how many times in boxing have we seen people retire and come back and retire and come back and retire and come back? It happens a lot. So I'm not even fully believing that this is all the way a retirement.
I mean, and that's what pisses me off even more. Now you're making us out to be scapegoats and shit. If she does that, I ain't gonna support her.
No, I mean it's hard to know when you're done. You're done. You know. She went on said, "Only God knows how long I've been contemplating this decision. Physically and mentally, I can't continue anymore." And there was a point where I remember Nonito Donaire was kind of saying similar shit, you know. I think he just had a baby, and he was kind of at a low point, just saying, I don't think I care for this anymore. But he found hunger, he found his drive, and picked the sport back up, and he had another good long run with it. Then he had the good fight with Inoue, and I mean he's made a decent, huge impact.
Losing will do that to you. I can understand that. That'll sour your confidence. But Sinisa is undefeated. So really, what's the excuse there at that? But like I said, man, if she pulls this as a stunt and then comes out of retirement and a couple months later, something like that, then I'm not dropping no names, but you might see someone throw paint at her ass coming into the fight, into the arena next time, or at least throw eggs at
her. Who's gonna be throwing eggs?
I ain't naming. I ain't one of the gossips. You ain't heard it from me. Don't be in my neck of the woods. I'll tell you that much.
Do you think it's also because she's in the weight class she's in? I mean, is it hard to find, a decent person to even have that big?
She should have gave old girl a rematch. That was a heck of a fight. She should have gave her a rematch. And there's other fighters that have called her out in her career that she hasn't fought either. There's a lot of girls. Valet was the one that she fought last. She should have gave her a rematch. She deserved it. Two pretty girls going at it. They both are fierce, and then the rest will play itself out. But there's no context. So if she didn't have the fights, one, that's Top Rank's fault and their issue, and they've had promoter issues like that with certain fighters before, a la Terrence Crawford, Rigondeaux, couple of names to go into that play. So I could see that as being a possible issue, but then call it out. Get help. Go a different direction. Do something, then just quit.
I mean, if she doesn't love it anymore, though, you just got to let stuff go. I mean, if I stop loving the sport, I would hope that I will walk away too. Same with anybody. If they don't love this shit, don't do it. Don't continue to make money off of the sport when you really don't give a fuck. Don't show up just for a check. I don't want that. I want you to come out and actually be able to give it your all. And if you can't do that, ain't no reason to be here, right?
Now, how about if you're that type of person, don't start?
I think some people lose. You never lost love in a sport? Were you interested in like something soccer or something and you just fell out of love? Nothing like that? You never had that before in your life?
That I played in? No. That I watch? Yes. And that's primarily the superstars' fault, the team's fault, and the way of the direction of the league and different stuff that the league is going towards. Or it could just be the fact that my team sucks.
All definitely possibilities. Trust me, as a Viking fan, we've been there. I I know how that is. So it's hard to love something that just keeps kicking you. But let's switch topics here. Let's talk this past week, and we got Jack Catterall, and he may have made Regis Prograis retire. Rob, what was your take on that fight? I think me and you called that pretty much. We said Prograis
I
probably.
told everybody so. I told everybody that shit.
I also picked Catterall, and I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure Prograis is just done. Beatings like he took from Haney is really, it was a bad beating that he took. He's so much bigger, and I think it caused a lot of problems for him. But go ahead, Rob.
Here's my problem. No, I didn't say he was done. I didn't say that. I said he's not an elite level fighter. He never will be at this point in his career because he hasn't proved a damn thing. That don't mean that he needs to quit. Look, this is a common theme for me here again tonight. You're still a younger fighter. You're still a younger guy. Why quit? Why quit? Why not try to excel and do better? Obviously, there's some problems there. And I believe with Regis, a lot of it has to do with his confidence. He just doesn't look that confident out there to me in these bouts. He's fighting at the same level as Catterall. He fought at a lesser level than Haney, weight included or not. I don't care. He's fighting at a lesser value than where he was when he started in the sport. And sometimes rattling off 15, 16-0, 15, 17-0 against guys that aren't top-notch quality will do that to you. Because then when you step up the level of competition, that's really what shows what you're made of. And Regis, just every time he stepped it up, he showed us what he was made of. He's not there. He's not that guy.
I mean,
but again, that don't mean you quit. That don't mean you quit. That means you try and get better.
Even if you think you have no chance at really being the elite, like why would you continue?
Get there. That should be everybody's goal. Look, we have all these fighters. I don't know how many fighters you can count that we have in the sport, but not everybody's gonna be number one. And we all know that. They know that. Not everybody can be number one. But the goal is to aspire to be that. And if you're not there yet, you try all that you can to get there. Some of them will never get there, but they've all been in the sport. We at this point in time in our sport, we need all hands on deck in the fight game. All of them. We need the gatekeepers. We need the gatekeepers. We need the step up guys that'll take a fight. We need the 1 minute guys who will take a fight at a minute's notice. We need these guys in this sport. We need them. We need them bad. All hands are on deck now. Prograis is still a name in there, and he could still be a fight, whether it be a stepping stone or not. Hell, try, but stay in this sport.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Rob, and I do partially agree. And it does seem to be a running theme now for the show this week. But staying in a sport that, one, you don't love and is not loving you back, you don't want to work it like a job. Not everybody does. And I agree with you. We need the middle and low-level guys, too, because we need these. Just like we talked about with Friday Night Fights, we need something that is constant. We need more viewing of the sport. And we need more of the sport to be out there in all levels. We need it on the local channels. We need it on the Prime and the pay-per-view. But it needs to be more widespread. And I feel like now it just seems like most boxing is either hidden and put away on ESPN Plus or it's pay-per-view. And nobody wants to do that. You don't want to do that every time. So look, you need to slow build this shit. And if you need a Prograis, and I'm sorry, Sakura, I got you muted because it was like giving feedback, so let me unmute you.
Audio. I was just saying a lot of the fights that I go to are all DAZN fights. You know, they're all on DAZN, and you know, it's still an issue where people just don't have that subscription.
Well, and a lot of people aren't willing to go back. I am not. And I obviously I love the sport of boxing, but I am not willing to pay what you want us to pay. I am not willing to pay a monthly subscription when you ran on this is the end of pay-per-view, and then you're going to ask me for pay-per-view money too. You can go to hell. I don't care. I will watch the sport of boxing, or at least watch DAZN die before I pay for that. I'm not. If anything, I'm actively helping to bankrupt you, DAZN. Fuck off.
So you're a part of the problem. Anywho,
I'm not.
Anywho.
Any idiot that's willing to just pay an exorbitant amount of money without asking and without getting anything in return. DAZN has not much.
You get
They
fights.
do not have much to
You
offer.
get fights and you get sports in return. There's
You
other
get
sports
fights.
on the channel as well.
What fights? Friday Night Fights had better fights than what they put on. They put on uncompetitive, not very good fights.
According to Lucas people.
According to most people.
Who will still watch the fight.
You're muted again, Sakura. You're mute. I can't even unmute you. You're muted on your end, Sakura.
I was saying that a lot of the fights, you're saying you don't watch them, so you really don't know. But the fights that I go to, I can speak on, and they're pretty competitive. But the problem is
that you're local. Watching a fight versus watching a fight on TV are very, very different.
No. Not that I'm local, because the fight cards that I'm going to are now Matchroom, are MVP cards, PBC cards, like so Box Lab cards. These are like Pro Box cards. These are not like small promoters anymore. But my problem is that still people are not subscribed. And we do need them to be on lower channel networks, so that people can still have a way to like get to the sport, even if they don't want to subscribe to an app to see the sport. There still should be some opportunities, like how there was on Amazon Prime with the Tim Tszyu fight. That was a freebie, where at least if you had Amazon Prime, you could see it for free. So, I mean, we need more opportunities like that. But, Lucas, I want to ask you a question, though.
Go ahead.
So, why are people trying to retire Prograis when Prograis is at least fighting the best of his division? He's not coming out on the winning side, but he's not exactly like totally looking like he's, you know, a nothing and just getting run over either. I don't feel like why are we doing this to pop boxers and then turning around on another day and saying, oh, but these boxers don't want to fight and they're scared to take an L. Well, guess what? When you take an L, now people want to try to retire you. I don't personally know if Prograis wants to retire or not. He posted that he didn't. He said, I'm not retiring. So he's not ready to retire. But what I've noticed is that the last couple of guys that he's fought, the 140-pound division is like bigger now than when he first started out in that division. Now he's looking like he's a lightweight trying to be a 140-pounder compared to his competition size. So for me, I know he wants to stay, like he loves Marvin Hagler, right? So he wants to stay at the same division his entire career. That's what he used to say, or that was one of his things that he liked. But I mean, I'm not saying he maybe 135 is a better playing field for him, because these boxers at 140 are now huge. Now, the other thing I want to say, yeah, and Prograis, I like the fact that he's willing to fight everybody, and regardless if he gets the L or not, he still says yes. And that's what we're saying we want more of. So stop trying to retire people because they're not winning when they fight the best. More boxes. We want more boxes to actually take this risk.
No, I do. I want him to take the risk. The problem is, do you guys think he can hang with the best at 135 or 140?
Yes, I do. It's just the fact of why you take a fight. You know, I got to go back to Devin Haney. 164 pounds a night at a fight. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's not
that's way
fair. That's
bullshit.
not a fair match. So every time you fight somebody and they're that much bigger than you are taking damage, and it slows your career. We all know that
And
with some of these catch weight fights we saw.
I would love for them to go back. I think to same day weigh-ins because I think this is the only way that some of this shit will stop. Yeah, you can have rehydration clauses, but even that's in the morning. You know what I mean? So you can gain so much up until that fight, and it's still unknown. You know what I mean? And I think it can just go too far. So with the same day weigh-in, at least it would be as close as it possibly could be. You also aren't going to have anybody that go down to skin and bones and try to kill themselves going into a fight. Or at least if they did, it would be that much dumber to do. You know what I mean?
But for boxers, you need to know when a division has changed from what you had originally started. That division doesn't look the same as when he first began his career. I mean, it's a totally different look between the boxers. So I mean, and you had a lot of the 135-pound division moving up to 140 as well. So he needs to be able to be adaptable, and he needs to change strategies. I believe. I haven't had a discussion with him, but I was supposed to get an interview in, but then all this storm stuff happened. But my thing is I just feel like we should not be beating up and retiring boxers who actually take an L but are fighting the best.
Right. I think for most people that are saying that he should retire is not really necessarily that he lost. I think it was the amount of knockdowns going into the loss as well. And just the overall look. Probably people, they jump to conclusions, but some people aren't allowed to just think to say this may just been stylistically bad for Prograis. But I mean, I think if I remember right, most of us picked Catterall. I mean, I think James might have picked Prograis. Do you remember, Rob?
I like Jack Catterall too. Now that's a bad boy. I mean, and that's another thing that people need to start realizing is that these European boxers are not the European boxers of the past. Here we go again when we're realizing that these boxers here, they're hungrier. They got, more training. They got better coaches. They've taken our coaches from America, a lot of them, and they're training with them. So it's kind of like, don't assume that a European boxer is not going to give you some problems, because this type of European boxers that's out there now is a different story than those that people are used to seeing in the past. So kudos to Jack Catterall, and I want to see him in his next up and coming fight too soon. And I'm not trying to make excuses for Prograis, but in these last couple of fights we have seen, I mean, he just is the way smaller guy in those fights.
I want to see what they call it. I want to see Catterall Teofimo. It's a big fight for me. I think it's a big prove me fight or show me fight. I would say for Teo, that's a huge fight for me to see. Next year will be the Teofimo Lopez fight, and I believe they'll make it happen.
Right. I would love that too.
I'm doubting that it happens, but I would love that if it did. Let's jump ship here and talk Foster rematches for Conceicao's WBC junior lightweight title. I almost said light heavy. Guys, I'm really, really, really looking forward to this fight. I know a lot of people may not be, but this is a revenge. There's some bad blood here. I think Foster we was robbed a lot. Okay, as boxing fans, boxing pundits, they use robbed a lot, but this case is fucking true. Foster got robbed against Conceicao. Guys, do we see this fight going differently? Because I think Foster's going to leave it all out there this time.
Well, finally, we have a valid rematch immediate that we wanted to see based off of supposed robbery. Conceicao, he's got his hands full But you know what? I think he'll make adjustments in this fight as well. I don't think it's gonna be a walk in the park for Foster like people think just because he got robbed the last fight. And Foster not leaning on the judges, not wanting it to go to the judge's decision will mean that he will take risk out there in this fight. So Conceicao will be prepared for that. I feel like it's a very close fight. For me, it's very close to call at this point. Um, it's a very close fight.
I enjoyed the first fight. I thought that it was a close fight up until, around the, I want to say, ninth, 10th, 11th, like that back end of the fight is, Foster made him miss a lot, but you don't really get points for making people miss. You gotta show me the money, Lucas. Rob, show me the money. You the type where it's like, hey, I'm gonna need for you to go tit for tat. Yeah, you missed me, but now I need to make you pay. And this time around, I believe Foster understands that better, and he's gonna anytime that he makes it's Robson, right? Robson Conceicao. Anytime he makes him miss, he's gonna need to pay for that. So, I love the sweet science. Don't get me wrong, but when you used to miss Floyd, when people miss Floyd, and then Floyd would come back and get his little punch in, he made you pay. I mean, you gotta do that. Yeah, it's pretty when you make somebody miss, and you got some people that like to admire their work a little bit too much. And you got to rein that in, and you just got to be hey, what? Bam, now take that. You moving just a little slight inch, and then you you know what I'm saying? It's like when you playing with a baby and you want to play patty cake or something, and then they miss, and then you you get them right back. That's what that's what sweet science is about. So I think that Foster is going to be able to do that this time, and he's not going to take for granted that the boxing judges are just going to go along with him being a superior boxer, because it did look like he was the superior skilled boxer in there, even though Robson Conceicao is an actual Olympian and has a great deal of knowledge too. And that's something that probably Robson is going to be more prepared for this time too. He might have came into that first fight feeling like he was the dude that had the superior skills. Now he knows that that's not the case. So there might have been a little bit more planning at hand in this particular fight if he wants to retain that belt. I assume that he worked on a little bit more than just, what he thought Foster was based on previous fights.
Yeah, I mean, the punch stats definitely seen it. It looked more one-sided on the punch stats too. It's just the judges in boxing. You just never know how it's going to go. Rob, I'm sorry. Were you getting ready to say something?
No.
I thought you were. I thought I saw you, and then I talked. Didn't mean.
I'm just saying, F the pretty stuff. Get to work. That's all I'm saying.
Conceicao was busier, landed in single digits in 10 out of 12 rounds. Foster landed 34% of his power punches, and Conceicao only landed 11% of his total punches. So, I mean, if you're looking at the stats of it all, you're looking at it saying, how did they mess this up? But I promise you, it is a little bit harder when you're talking round to round. Easily swung in certain areas. So it's very hard to score a fight. But
yeah,
I think
I do feel like Foster was the winner in that fight. I'm just saying, don't leave gaps and rooms for things to get, miscalculated on a judging card. Just stay here.
Yeah, and if I'm Foster, especially his corner, I'm sitting here saying those last 10 seconds when they clap for that last 10 seconds, last 15, you need to turn it on. You need to steal that round. Make sure that your name and your punches is what they remember, because you already got fucked once. Let's not get fucked again.
Or go for the knockout. It's that simple. Or go for the knockout or knockdown.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can knock somebody out. We know that, but
yeah, I don't think Foster would be knocking out Conceicao. I could be wrong. He could aged within the last fight here, but I don't see that happening. And the only way that you can like truly, if you don't have that one punch knockout power, then you just got to systematically break someone down, or you just have to be busier in each round.
I think for the most part that Foster's going to be even busier. Conceicao is going to try to be, but in actuality, going to kind of play into Foster's hands even worse. I think this one's going to be more of a landslide than even the first one. I have Foster with a more widely spread scorecard, unanimous decision. Guys, do you think Foster or Conceicao's coming out ahead?
I have Conceicao.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Care to share a little bit more?
Because he knows how to make adjustments. Look at how he adjusted to the Navarrete fight.
I mean,
he does know how to adjust. That's for sure. He does. I just feel like Foster wants it more than he's going to want it, because that belt is giving him nightmares every night since he got that loss. And I just feel like he's going to want it more. Subconsciously, but not so subconsciously. I think it's going to be more of a mental test in this fight than it is about, who's more powerful, who's more agile, who's more got more ring generalship, all that. I think it's going to be more mental.
Definitely agree with you guys there. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? I think we kind of narrowed it in for this week. I want to stress, you got to keep tuning in for the Tyson Jake Paul show. I got some stuff brewing I want to do. So definitely, if you're tuning into this, make sure you tune in every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. But Rob, go ahead.
I have a little rapid fire for y'all, man.
And I had one thing to mention about the girls fighting this weekend, and that's Gabrielle. Gabrielle is going to be back in action this weekend, Fundora. And this time it's going to be for a unified belt against another Gabrielle. So make sure you check out that fight. I believe that it's going to be on the zone card that is for Golden Boy with Floyd Schofield. So shout out to him as well. But
sure.
That's going to be Saturday night. But I'm more interested in, I know I shouldn't be, but I'm more interested in the women's fight, which is a unification bout.
No, it's okay to be. It's okay to be. That's all right. Rob?
No, if we out of time, we out of time. But this was one.
Go ahead.
Well, you know how I am, so y'all got to play a little game with me. And on this one, I'll go ahead and give y'all my rapid fires, and then y'all can just touch on it.
Okay.
But in honor of Halloween, I'm picking my favorite Halloween characters as boxers. So we start with the Boogeyman, right? Who is the Boogeyman in boxing right now? The guy who's the myth, the legend, nobody really wants to see. I have David Benavidez. Nobody wants to see David.
I don't agree with that.
That's who I have. If you have anyone, you go ahead and shout them out.
I'm just saying, Morrell was willing. He's ready to fight him right now. I mean, that's the fight that's happening. And I mean, he didn't look that scary at 175 to me. Only when he's at like a true boogeyman is when he's at 168. When he's like the bigger bully guy in there. That's when I had him as the boogeyman.
I got the long, lanky Fundora.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
People backed out. Zoo's like, I don't want that smoke. I don't care what you say. Zoo dodged that shit.
So my next one is the werewolf, right? This is the one who's all innocent, all normal, innocent, normal until late at night, and they just transform into the monster as the werewolf. And on this one, y'all, I got Bivol. He comes in, he's all laid back. You think he's innocent, you think he's not gonna hurt you that well, and you get in the ring with him and he lets it rip. He turns into a monster.
You know, I will say Bivol, he has the more Jekyll and Hyde type thing. I would agree. I think very nice, polite, doesn't make excuses, but then in the ring, he is a monster. I gotta agree with you, Rob.
Okay. Well, I like Kenny Sims Jr. for this because he looks so unopposing. And then
he's a nice guy too. Yeah, really nice guy outside the ring.
Really nice guy outside the ring as well. But then lately, talked to Elvis Rodriguez and others. They doubted his capabilities, and not only was he winning, he's getting KOs. He's stopping people. So I mean, right now that's like the guy that I put down as most underrated boxer that's currently fighting right now. And he has a great fight coming up in November. I think it's November 14th or something like that. I got to look it up, though. I think it's this month. He's got a step-up type fight coming against Duarte. So we'll see what's up with Kenny in this one. But I got him all the way. But that's my werewolf.
All right, Lucas. Count Dracula, the current guy who's sucking the blood out of the sport right now.
I almost said Jake Paul, but I don't know. I kind of still leaning that way. It's hard. I'm gonna say tentative Jake Paul. Let Sakura answer.
I mean, why are you being tentative about it? I mean, if that's the way,
because I feel like I need to think about it just for a little bit longer. That's all.
You done said it now. Like, just own that shit now. You done said it. No, I'm going to actually. There's a lot of ways you can go with that. You can go with the cash cow with Canelo because he's not facing the people that we thought that, we want him to face, but he's not the only one doing that. It's a lot of people avoiding Boots right now, which is probably the first one that you asked me, Rob, which was the monster or the boogeyman. I think that Jerron Ennis fits that bill. So you got some people that should be fighting individuals, but they're not doing so.
And that's where I went with it. I went Crawford because he only fighting once a year. He's trying to suck the sport dry with this once a year nonsense.
I mean, if he was trying to suck it dry, then wouldn't he be having multiple fights a year? You're saying that he's sucking the sport dry and he's only having one fight.
He's sucking it dry by not involving himself in the sport.
Right. He's getting 30 million for one
by fighting whenever the hell he wants to.
Yeah.
And then I also got my favorite bloodsucker of the sport, Oscar De La Hoya.
Anyway. Now, see, you ain't say promoters. You didn't say nothing about
that one. At least makes more sense. Yeah, I'll give it to
Oscar. The Mummy, y'all. The Mummy. This is somebody who just dies and keeps coming back from the dead.
Not a lot to keep coming back.
Well, that would be Broner. Broner is always coming back.
No, perfect one. Tyson Fury. We talked about him earlier. That's the Mummy for me. He's got that long arms too. He comes kind of awkwardly. We've seen him get off the canvas when we thought he was dead already. So I got Fury.
I like Chisora. Always
coming back too.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Really who is the current superhero of the sport? The one who's taking it on the world on his arms, on his back, and propelling it into greater heights.
Man, Usyk and Inoue. I mean, they've already outlived more than what I thought they could. Usyk, I always said Usyk is maybe too small, heavyweight, and I struggle with that because it was like, dude, you're so great at what you do, but it turned out I was wrong. I mean, he's Superman. He's not too small for heavyweight. He whooped the man's ass.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He got lamented to that heavyweight division. I mean, real quick. And is hanging with the best of them, and it's proven to be the best in the division. Right. So I agree with you on that one. I really don't have anybody that's sticking out in my mind that's really like, changing the sport for the better as a superhero would. I could have changing the sport for themselves. That would be a category I would be able to say. I don't want to say, but I mean, when it comes to people changing the sport to benefit themselves, then there's a lot of candidates in that category. So
that's true.
Yeah.
So I got Usyk as well. I said Usyk.
Okay.
The super villain, y'all. Who is the super villain? I've got a couple on the list.
I mean, right now, I'd probably say Ryan Garcia. He's definitely a villain of boxing right now.
They made him the villain, but guess what? Guess what? I told Emilio this the other day. Wasn't he the one saying that they was doing stuff to children? And everybody thought that he was crazy and off his rocker. And now what are we learning? What are we learning, guys?
And you know what? I think
telling the truth.
I think Haney is also a super villain in a way.
I definitely would go with him.
Who fights for a living and then has a lawsuit? That's some bullshit. Haney's a villain.
So I also have Ryan Garcia, but
I knew it.
Also, you could make him the mental patient. He could be the.
He's more like patient. The Joker. That's the Joker.
Man,
and I have Canelo as well as the super villain.
Oh yeah.
And I have Tyson Fury. Everybody hates Tyson, but the sport loves him. But he always plays the super villain.
Well, you made me think of a
really
now I got to go back to the hero because now I'm thinking the hero right now is Mike Tyson. Okay, because he's bringing some eyeballs back from the 80s to see him fight again. I got people I don't even really talk to daily in my inbox talking about, yeah, Mike gonna KO him and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God. So the hero, yes. So the hero right now for boxing is Iron Mike Tyson.
Mike, and not only that, we hope he comes back from the dead too. The motherfucker come back from the dead just like the mummy too. So he needs to be all of them. Thank y'all for tuning in. Rob, I love that one. Some of these are hits like who's the mashed potatoes and the meatloaf. That one fell a little flat for me. I'm not gonna lie, but I do like stuff.
That was Thanksgiving.
And if you like Rob's rapid fire, please comment. Let us know because I really dig these. For anybody listening, again, check us out every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. As always, we don't pull any punches, and we'll see you next week.
I was gonna